on Kindle, and it lets
Hmm.
me know, like, I can set a goal and I can go through everything that I've read on the Kindle. The only thing it doesn't track, though, is the physical books. And like I said, I have a whole stack here
You do.
that I need to get through. So, I mean, I love I love setting up a bullet journal. I love what I
Mhm.
did with that first one. It just became too much to do. And when I got the new one, I think I have 4 entries in it. And I didn't even write that much. I just basically put in the data for the book.
Mhm.
And the last one I put in there was bound. So, I mean, like, why? I find myself getting stressed out because I'm not doing it.
Right.
Um, and yeah, so I
The
don't.
whole point of it too, the whole point of the exercise of writing a book journal is to not be stressed out. Is to for it to be a fun, relaxing activity. And if it's not that for you, then there is no point.
Yeah,
So
I read too much. It's June, and Kindle says this is just what I have on Kindle, what I've read through Kindle. I've
Mhm.
already read 125 titles.
That's insane. 125 since January this year.
Yes, yes, because it always
Yep.
restarts. So, for some context, 2023, I read 218 titles, not counting physical books.
You are already ahead of the curve there.
And for 22, I read 225. Now,
Yeah.
that was almost everything. Yeah, 200 in 22 and 21, which is when I got my Kindle, when I got this
Mhm.
lovely thing. My lovely husband said I should stop. Oh, apparently I need to charge it. Um, uh,
You don't use
he's
that one
I
anymore.
don't use it anymore. It's my lending Kindle. That's what I'm gonna call it. Um, uh, I started reading the Kindle in 2021 because my husband found me reading on my phone, and he was like, "That's gonna ruin your battery. It's not. That's too small." Unbeknownst
Not
to
to mention
him,
it's not good for your eyeballs either.
yeah. Unbeknownst to him, I read tiny font.
You
um,
do. I noticed that because you were doing that on your new one,
yeah.
and I was like, "You have got to be kidding me! You have to be squinting right now."
No.
And maybe I should have grabbed my
I
Kindle
I should
because
I should I do have a second set of glasses. I have reading glasses. They're in the Jeep where they do me a world of good. Um but it's just in 2021 when I first started. I don't remember what month I started. Pretty sure I
Mhm,
got my Kindle in like March. I only read
mhm,
155. So 22, 21, I was reading primarily on Kindle. 23, I started reading physicals as well as Kindle. And I've read a couple of physical books. Actually, I've read a lot of physical books this year,
mhm.
and Kindle. So, I mean, the only thing I would think I'd be using the journal for is the physical books because
Okay.
those I actually do annotate. When I'm reading on my Kindle, even though it has the ability to do it, I don't.
Mhm.
I don't. Like, there's a there's an action to annotating in physical books that is just lost in the digital, I
Okay.
feel like. Like the stickies, I have all the stickies in color form, it's we have a scheme for those.
Yeah.
And I can't do that on the Kindle Scribe. I can make sticky notes in it, but I'm not going to go back
Are
and
they
read them.
not different colors?
No, no, it's black and
Oh,
white. It's
okay.
basically a
Okay.
giant paper white that I can write on. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, I think I'm going to only use if I do use the reading journal, it'll be for my physical books at this point.
Mhm.
Um, that being said, this month we read Bound by Lorelei James. This was a
We
pick
did.
that you gave us because
Yes.
we stopped doing the double picks. We realized
Yep.
that was a little much. and I actually found a book that I DNF'd on page 25. My great shame. Um, since that book, so I had only DNF'd two other books before Gothicana.
That's actually fantastic.
I have DNF'd a lot more since then. Like, I feel like, breaking the seal when you're out drinking. I broke the seal for DNFs. I do not
You
appreciate
did.
it.
Yeah.
They're just, like, I've been trying to find some good stuff while waiting
Mhm.
for our August pick, which was
Yes.
our July pick.
And
Um,
it got
it
delayed,
got delayed.
unfortunately.
So I've been trying to fill something that will capture my attention like that one had.
Mhm.
And there have not been some great ones. I think I've texted you a couple of times saying I recommended this book. Don't read it. Don't read it.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
so uh, what about you? Where are you with your DNF graveyard?
Um,
Because I'm up to like
so
10, I think, which is really
I
good for the year.
that's actually really good, seeing as it your percentage is what, like 1% or 10%.
I
Not
think
even that. 1%.
I think so. Well, it's 10 books out of 100 and what did it say? 125 so far
So
for
like
yeah.
less than 10%
Let
of your books that you actually, get to and finish.
yeah.
For me, I'm averaging 3 to 4 a month, and I've taken the last couple months have been pretty busy, like life wise, so I haven't been reading as much as that.
Right.
Um, I did DNF this one, unfortunately, because
This is your pick. It's
this was
allowed
my
though.
pick.
This is allowed. I picked Gothicana. I DNF'd it real quick. That's fine. Unfortunately, you DNF'd after I finished the damn thing.
I wanted to like this book so bad. So bad. I am into the subject material. I like the shibari and like the erotic, rope play stuff. But when I was literally, I just did a Google search in order to find this book. I did a Google search on like the top rated ones
Mm-hmm.
of that subject matter. This was like number one or number two. Um, and it's fairly old. I don't know what year it came out, in the mid
I'm
2000s.
gonna
I don't
look
know,
it up.
maybe.
Hold on. Let's see. It was published in 2014, February
Okay,
4th, 2014. Um,
so 10 years ago.
yeah, it is in a series. Okay.
Mhm.
I know we've said it before on this channel, say it again. It is from a New York Times best-selling author. That doesn't
Yes.
make it good.
Yeah. So
It has a
let's
4.5 star review out of
it
100,
does.
about out of 1100 reviews, almost
And it,
1200 reviews. And it's
not
not
only
good.
on well, yeah, and it's not good. That's the thing. Like, it was 4.5 on Amazon, and then I think it was like 4 stars on Goodreads. And I do take those with a grain of salt, but I was like, well, if it's highly rated on these websites that cater to that specific,
Mhm.
niche, like maybe it is good. So I gave it a bit of try. You got through it a lot faster than I did. How about we talk about the synopsis of this book first?
Would you like me to read what it says, or would you like me to just jump in into what happens?
You should jump into what happens.
Okay. So, our protagonist is I'm conflicted about describing her, okay? Uh she in the published synopsis, she is categorized as a former small town girl living her dream as a graphic designer. Okay?
Mhm.
She starts really strong. Like, I like the kind of personality she has at the very beginning. It immediately, like a chapter later, gets flipped though. And I don't know how, like, there, it's just, it's so all over the place in the
So what
beginning.
happens?
Okay,
She
oh, well, yeah, okay, okay.
no no no, it's okay.
Oh my gosh, she decides to tag along with her office mate slash coworker, is how she's described in the beginning. Office mate coworker, um, to a self defense class. Now, there's no spectators allowed in this defense class, and it's something you have to sign up in advance for. But she somehow talks her way into becoming part of the class in this, like, apparently very prestigious Japanese
Japanese
jujitsu
jujitsu. Yeah.
dojo.
She actually bought her way
She
in.
did, but like she had to
Yeah,
talk her way into letting her purchase her seat in the class.
true. Because
Um,
it was super last minute. She
right.
just showed up. So,
And she immediately catches the eye of the master jujitsu sensei.
mhm.
Um, and like he immediately, like a barnacle, okay,
Yeah.
like a barnacle, just attaches himself to her.
Yeah.
She gets called just before the end of class that her office has been broken into, and she shows up. Like it's like really freaking quick.
Rapid fire.
It's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
very quick. She shows up to assess the damage. The coworker is not a coworker, it's actually her intern.
Uh-huh.
It's her business, she lives above the business. um I don't think we ever find out who the hell threw the brick through the window or anything like that. It's glossed over very quickly. But the
You
sensei
tell me.
just
Yeah.
shows up to fix it. Like he's like, I'll handle this. And she's like,
Hmm.
I don't know who you are, and I'm now gonna be all shy. Like, seriously, one chapter she's an ultimate badass and I'm here for it, and then the next it's like, is this a body snatchers story? Because it seems very body snatcher esque. Um, he, like I said, Barnacle attaches himself to her. Um,
And we get some context as to why later on, but you
yes,
do notice, you do read that he like super he pulls her into his office slash area, and he's like, you have to wear a gi, throws a gi at her. She rips her clothes off in front of him,
to like
which
show,
seems very
it's very outward.
weird. Who
It's
would do that? I don't think any
right.
human would do
She's
that,
like
like in their right
she
mind.
gets very sassy with him in that instance, and then as soon as like she goes back to her office to deal with this broken window, she falls apart. Like
Yeah.
whatever pillar of strength she had cultivated in that first chapter is immediately wiped away.
Yes. Yep.
We learn that he is half Japanese or quarter Japanese. Um, Grew up in Japan, spent some time in a monastery, but it's all very cloak and dagger with him. Like, you don't really know much else other than he is a master
Mhm.
jujitsu artist. And
It's yes, exactly. It is hinted that he's into some sort of more darker, uh,
aspects of, uh,
like a mercenary, or like he's
yeah,
got some dark
like
past.
there's just some rumors that nobody can really clarify about. They're just like, stay away from him, and
And
he's everybody's like, just stay away from him, he's not good. And she's like, okay, but can anybody give me
any
any
actual
reason,
details,
like what the hell's
any
going on?
reason, like what happened?
And she
No one.
comes
It's
from
just all
an
rumors.
uber like Christian background in like North Dakota. Her family is like her dad's a an evangelist preacher.
Mm.
um
Parents are not very cool.
no, un-
I resonated with that
yeah,
a
I
little bit
mean,
with the religious family, but
Yeah,
not to that extent.
not to that
But
extent.
uh,
Like everything is very keeping up with the Joneses on her family side. She's got a brother that she alludes to a couple of times, and he's just like, we should start seeing each other, and she's like, I don't know you, and everybody's telling me to stay away from you, and he's like, well, at least come and continue your classes, because somebody just threw a brick or a rock through your window. And she's
for
like, yeah,
self-defense reasons,
yeah,
like totally,
I want to
totally
hope you
platonic
protect
self-defense
yourself.
reasons.
But he can't stop like touching her face
Yeah,
and like crowding
he's
in her
definitely obsessed with
space.
her pretty much immediately.
Yes,
It's
it
very obvious.
um and then once they start banging, they don't stop.
Nope.
Like for most
So
of the
what is the
book,
catalyst to actually like finally crossing that threshold? They had been fighting with each other. He was fighting with her one on one, which was making other people jealous.
yes.
And he and he was doing things with her sexually that like making her climax without like touching her. Oh, they did
Yes.
I think wax play by the
Yes.
pool.
Uh,
That was
Spoiler alert,
confusing.
there is a lot of BDSM, but not BDSM undertones. They make it very clear that this is not a BDSM relationship, but more
Which is
often
very confusing to me.
because
But
there is a lot of
we'll get
bondage
there.
in this. I mean, the damn book is called Bound, for crying out loud.
Right.
He is a rope master. He goes on to explain that Shibari, and there's another one. I can't. It starts with a K. I can't remember what it is now. But
I don't
they are
remember.
art forms. They started in jujitsu. So while he was
Yeah.
learning the art of jujitsu in the monastery, this became one of the things that he actually latched onto and became very good at, because it was uh, a oh, I can't remember how he describes it, but it was such a bullshit explanation. It's not even funny. Um, but that became a
uh
thing for him.
yeah.
Um,
He
and
said it was like some sort of historical aspect, like it was kind of
which is
it
true.
branched off
It
of
did. It was. That's true. Shibari did
I figured
start.
it had to be because when I read it, I was like, oh, that's actually kind of a cool piece of trivia. I did not know about that.
Yes, Shibari did
Um,
start um, with the shogunates as ways to bind prisoners, and it did become like an art form, because each shogun would then practice his own knots and stuff like that. But it
mm,
also became a way of signifying, because they would haul the criminals through villages, what their crimes were based on the
okay.
knots and how they were bound.
Interesting. That's
Yes.
pretty
That
cool,
is,
actually.
yes, I did know that, because
Yeah.
um,
Y-
I have a history. But,
yeah.
so that is true. I did not know it had begun with jujitsu. I haven't actually verified that or not. Um, but the
That might be BS.
it might be. I don't know. I have no
We'll find
idea.
out.
I did not. I read both books. Okay, there are more books. I think there are at least two more. There might be three.
Mhm.
But I did not care by the end of the second book enough to look. Like honestly, I just wanted to get it done with. So it does take a while. She is feeling conflicted about just jumping in, but she also wants him to just kind of push the issue, and
Mhm.
he wants to make sure she's actually on board with all of his eccentrics. I can't say the word now.
Eccentricities.
Yes, but he doesn't actually explain what those eccentricities. I can't
This
say
is
it.
the
Can't
biggest.
fucking say
Okay,
the
this
word
is
today.
what. Well, before them going to the ball
Yes, there's a
thing
gala.
together,
There's
gala. Thank
a
you.
charity gala.
charity gala. He's for some reason extremely wealthy. Of course, they're all extremely wealthy
They're
all the time.
always, I was thinking about this today when we were talking about recording. They're always extremely wealthy because there's nothing sexy or fantastical about having to go to work at a regular 9 to 5 and have to
Right.
pay your bills. So, I mean, I get it, but at the same time,
I
like,
get it, but it's an annoying trope,
fuck.
okay?
Like
It is.
every female protagonist is down on her luck, and every male protagonist is obscenely wealthy.
Just stupid. Anyway, so he is going to this gala. He wants her to go. I forgot. Is this before? No, no, no. They
They
had
they're
some sort of
already
fight.
um kind of
Okay.
she gets the there's
Miscommunication.
a miscommunication. She also wants, for lack of a better word, she wants to be wooed. She
Yeah,
hasn't been with someone in a couple of years. uh in fact, she runs into her ex and the woman he
at this
was
gala.
at the gala with the
Yeah.
woman he cheated on her with.
Yep.
She walked into their shared apartment and he had this woman bent over the couch
Hmm.
and didn't even stop, was just like, get the fuck out of here. And she's like, well, okay. And she did not look back. So good for her on that.
Good for
Um,
her.
but she hasn't been with anybody for like 5 years or something like
It's
that.
something. It's a very long time. Yeah.
So she kind of wants to have that kind of relationship back.
Romantic
She wants a romantic.
connection.
So she's like, we need to do couple things. And he was like, well, what does that look like? Because I'm not into that kind of stuff normally. Like, he's very structured in his life. He does
He's
his.
structured and he's passionate.
Yes.
Extremely passionate.
Right.
Like super puts his whole body into everything that he does.
Right.
And that can come off as
Abrasive
in
and
for too forward.
and
Like
overbearing.
exactly.
So, they're out doing one of these couple things. I think they go and see like a band, a Christian rock band that's
That's
headlined by
right.
one of her friends from high school.
I forgot about this
So
part.
they're at like not a great part of town, and they're walking and they get jumped, and he stops the would-be assailants.
Hmm.
Um, One of them very unkindly, does, like, he knocks somebody out and disarms another one with the
Yeah.
and she is kind of taken aback, like, wow, he's actually dangerous. And as the reader, I was like, well, fuck yes, he's dangerous. They told you he fights for fun. Like,
Hmm.
you don't reach the level that he's supposedly at and not be dangerous,
Yeah.
like, everybody's telling you that he's basically a mercenary, and you're just like, yeah, not the guy I know. Like, of course he's fucking dangerous. She's a nincompoop, okay? She is a
Okay.
ninny. Like, at times she is incredibly insightful, and then other times you're like, she is dumber than a box of fucking rocks.
I okay, we're getting to the point, almost getting to the point where I DNF'd.
Okay.
We go to the gala
Yes. That was
and
the fight. Is she needed time away from him because she had to, like, come to Jesus
process
moment
things.
where the guy that she knows is not the person that she is with.
Right.
Cuz that's the other thing, is she tells him things about herself, he does not open up. He's
Yes.
very guarded.
Yeah.
Okay. So they go to the gala.
We go to the gala. There's a bunch of celebrities there.
Yes.
It's just Richie Rich, posh, and they get to every single time the guy Ronan, of course his name is Ronan, by the way, it made me
Yes.
like want to barf in my mouth.
Yes.
Anyway,
Oh my gosh.
Ronan leaves
I was like,
her.
really? Are you fucking serious? Ronan,
I
a
know.
quarter Japanese guy with he's quarter Japanese, okay?
Yeah.
But he is apparently so much is I don't, okay, I don't know if these people just never finished eighth grade science, but genetics do not work that way.
Yeah.
Like, he is a, unequivocally beautifully Japanese, and he's a
But
quarter Japanese.
quarter. Yeah.
Like, it's just like, oh, okay. And
Very
when you meet
strong
his
genes a
sister,
couple generations ago.
spoiler alert, you meet his sister, she looks nothing like him. She is even more quintessentially Japanese.
Really?
Yes.
And she's not like she's not a half sister or anything
Nope.
like that.
Nope. Full blooded sister.
Hmm. Okay. All right. Well,
Their mother is like gorgeously quintessentially Japanese. And she's half Japanese. Like,
huh. What's the other half, did they say?
um so their grandfather met a woman um during the war. Um sh- she was I think
Presumed
she
white?
was, yes, I think she was
Okay.
European. Um
Okay.
and then uh their mother uh met their father, who was a GI, an American
Hmm.
GI, and then had them.
Okay.
It's so confusing.
Unless they also had another, like a, well, I guess they didn't though. So
And
I don't
their
know.
father
It's
being an
very
American
confusing.
GI, they don't carry their father's name.
Mm,
Like his, well, maybe he does. He's
okay.
Ronan Black.
Yeah. That's
Um,
a pretty Caucasian last name.
it is, but I think that's just the name he took to separate
Okay.
himself from his family, because his Japanese family is very well to do. That's the
Okay.
secret that he is not telling her. Anything
I
about his
see.
family or anything like that, except for, his dad is dead. His dad is the
Hmm.
one that instilled, this rigorous, like, must train, must do well kind of thing. And his grandfather, being Japanese and head of the family, is like, yes, yes, be passionate about this, be the best, you know,
Right.
all that kind of shit.
Very
Um,
stereotypically Japanese
yes.
as
Um,
far as their culture
but their
goes.
sister carries their grandfather's name, not their
Okay.
father's. So,
Interesting. Okay.
so confusing.
Tangent aside.
Yes, sorry. They're at the
No.
gala.
No, no, no. This is important. This is important information.
It is important information, and I don't think you get all of that before you DNF'd. So,
No.
um,
This is stuff that does provide some context,
yes,
but it still doesn't make it any better. It actually
yes,
makes it kind of
it makes it
worse.
worse. Um,
So we're at this gala. She
she,
meets her ex there,
yes, and
and
his fiance
he
was,
is super aggressive with her.
yeah,
As soon as Ronan leaves her alone to go like talk with some uppity people, the second he's on her, like, but
like flies
she's,
on shit. Just,
exactly.
just warning her away
She
from Ronan and
brushes
telling,
her off or brushes him off, and
he's like,
he's,
"Oh, this is not
talking.
you. He's like brainwashed you or something." She's like, "No, you have no idea who I am. You haven't
Yeah.
seen me in
You
five
don't even
years."
care because you talk about yourself, so
Right.
you don't even know who I am really.
Right. And you never thought to get to know me before you started cheating on me. I'm a new person because of the experiences I've had. Um,
Exactly. Which is good for her.
yes.
But Ronan rescues her. They go finally to the eat, and it looks like, in my mind, I was imagining a giant banquet like dining table that everyone sat at. Or is that how it was?
No, so they're it have you ever seen like the correspondence dinners or anything like that held at the White House or whatever?
Yeah, like little, they're
Yeah, they're
tables, like
tables.
assigned seatings.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's how it's described. Is it's like
Okay.
you buy a plate a plate, basically a seat at a table, and then
Yeah.
the table is filled in with other contributors to whatever charity is going on. And
But
she they get
you're sharing the
you're
table
sharing
with
the
other
table,
people. Yes.
and it's her and him, and then her ex and his fiance, and then two other couples. So there's a
But
total of 8 people at this table. It's a good size round table,
no.
and they are
No.
fucking with each other under the table in front of these people.
Yes, very
Obviously,
obviously. Very obviously. Like they're making noises, they're whispering into each
they're
other's
like
ear.
leaning into each other.
Yeah.
It's so
They don't
cringy.
get any they don't get any consequences for this because I
No.
kept wanting to see like, oh,
Oh,
is the
like
ex
the
gonna
ex is
say
gonna say
something,
something. No,
or are they gonna get kicked out? Like, what's gonna happen next? No,
no.
nothing happens. It's just
Apparently,
this
nobody
whole
around them, the other 6 people at this table, no idea. They and I think the line is that they look like they are absolutely devoted to each other and engrossed in each other, and that's it. And I'm just like, I'm sorry if my husband and I were sitting at a table with 6 other people, yeah, we might be chatting with each other and whispering in each other's ear, but for the length of time it would take to get either one of us off under a table, you'd fucking know. There are
yeah. Like no, like they even described it like that she was getting all flushed
flush
and then
and
she was like
out of
panting. And I
right.
was like, there's no way that they don't know. There's no way.
They're in the
Like this
middle
is
of this huge hall with all of these people. Nope, nope.
that irritated me for two reasons. One, gross. And two,
At least they
gross.
waited
And
until
three,
at least they waited until
sorry.
after dessert, right?
Right, but they everyone there did not consent to see that and be there.
No. No.
I am not for that. And I know there's people that that's like their kink and stuff, but no.
Yeah.
that's
So
that's crossing so many lines.
they almost immediately get up and leave.
They should have.
Yeah, they get up and leave so they can go finish at his penthouse.
Hmm.
Um, and it just kind of goes downhill from there. It is nothing but
Yes.
smut from here on out with little tidbits of story. Like her company, it's her company. She
Mhm.
and one other person work at this design company. She works on local projects, and she is only able to pay the mortgage on the building that her company is in because she has rented out 2 office spaces in the building. Um, and her clients are starting to move in house for their designs. So she is actually running out of revenue, and she doesn't her all of her friends work in this building. There's a masseuse, there's another digital designer who's a freelancer, and then her and her intern. Okay, those are all of her friends outside of the dojo because she has begun to make friends with Ronin's instructors. Um,
Yes, yeah.
uh, so she starts freaking out because she doesn't think she's going to be able to keep employed her intern who is still in school, um, or keep her doors open and still have an office space to rent to these people. So she confides in her boyfriend, and even though he has given her a design job, it was a very quick design job. It was not enough to like fill her
Sustain that.
budget for the year or
Yeah.
whatever. So what does he do? He does some underhanded shit and calls his family.
Oh,
We're
okay.
racing towards the end, okay? This is how it
Well,
ends.
let's talk about before we get there, let's talk about his botched introduction to the Shibari for
Oh,
her.
oh my gosh. Okay,
Yeah.
which one?
Was this the same night as the gala, by the way? I think it
I
was.
think it
So
was.
he was super excited. I think they had already done it a couple
They
times.
yes, they had had sex quite a few times.
They
Um,
he brings her upstairs to his like above the dojo, there's like a secret room. Of course, there's
Yeah,
always a secret
there's
room.
his he calls it his practice room.
Yeah.
It is, she noted it when he first gave her a tour of the penthouse.
Hmm.
Um,
It was
it
like
was a
there was
locked door,
yeah,
nondescript. He was like, "Don't worry about it. It's none of your business. Here's a guest
yeah.
room. You can stay there while your shit's getting taken care of." Um,
He blindfolds her.
which they
Blindfolds
have
her.
done before.
That's true.
They have done very very I would consider it innocent steps into
Yeah.
um
The introduction of
yeah, into
play like
play.
that.
Um
But it's not explicit. It's not
no.
explicit enough.
Like he's using her scarf as a blindfold, his tie as bindings. It's all very vanilla.
Yeah.
So they have had a very heated night at the gala, and he was like, "I want to be my complete self with you." And she's like, "Okay, I thought you have been." He's like, um,
Mm,
"Give me a minute. I'm gonna scare the shit out of you." And then he proceeds to. He doesn't
just
actually say
scare
that.
the
He scares the
yeah.
shit out of her. Um, he
Really, you would think he would know better by now.
yes, yes. He takes their very innocent play, the couple of times that, he's tied her to the headboard or something like that, as an indication that she is fully accepting of being completely bound,
Not
and
the same thing.
not the same thing. And he takes her into a unfamiliar space that does not look any way in what she would expect a encounter like they have had before, to proceed. Uh,
Hmm.
and so he's got her in the gown. He blindfolds her. He starts binding her, and then he takes the blindfold off, and all she sees is mirrors, ropes. Um, there's like there's pulley systems in the ceiling. I don't know if there were
And of course, she starts to have a freaking panic
panic attack,
attack.
because all she knows is that she doesn't know a lot about him, even though they've been dating for like 2-3 months at this point.
And she's heard rumors that he's a dangerous man.
Right.
So now she's thinking that
He's
he is going to
gonna
kill
kill
her.
her because she's seen
Yep.
him take down people. And flips out. And they separate, and she takes he gives her a week to come to him and be chill, which I do not think is right. Like
No,
no, no,
he
no, no,
should
no.
have. Well, this whole thing
There should have
was
been way more conversations.
way more.
Way
Way
more
more.
conversations.
This is the worst way to do it. One of the worst way to do it.
Yeah.
Pretty bad. Pretty bad.
It's awful. Um,
Um, so I was already upset about the gala, what happened at the gala. I was already getting irritated at their personalities, both of them.
yeah.
Here is where I start to see I think I'm going to stop reading this book. Even though we're starting to get into the like fun part that I was excited for, I don't like them. I don't
No.
like either of
No, I
them.
don't. I didn't like either one of them at all.
So, yes, so she ends up by some miracle. A lot of weird things happen in this book that it's all obviously like fantasy land. Like you have to
There are
suspend your
jumps.
disbelief a lot.
Yeah, there are large leap. There are bounding jumps between what could be real and then what is going on in this story. Um,
So she first like within days, she gets a request in her at her design job
mhm.
by a erotic novelist
Yes,
who
and she thinks it's him
yeah,
because of the
obviously because it's within a couple days.
yeah, it's in a couple of days, and the request is she wants to have a cover done for a smut, and she would like to see a female figure bound and highlighted. And she's like, "This is fucking him." And when I was reading, it was like, it's either him
It
or his
it is him.
ex. It's going to be
Right.
him or his ex.
Yeah.
Because there's an ex of his as well that's out there
Who's a
that's
crazy ex. Yeah.
absolutely bug nuts as well. So, um, I did think that. Uh, we do not find out that it's not the ex, but it's not the ex. Like, but it's never really laid out who it actually is.
Mhm.
Um, so she gets this request. She and he finally come back together,
Mhm.
and she's like, "Okay, I think I could do this, but there's stipulations for me." And he was like, "Okay, well, if you can't do this in certain situations, I'm going to find someone else." And she was like, "Okay," because he basically states that this is a need of his. It's not just
Yeah.
like, it's not just, oh, this is something I do for fun with my significant other. Like, no, this is one of the things that grounds him in his
Yeah.
everyday life. And
He needs it.
she's
Yeah.
just kind of like, you need to do this? Do you enjoy hurting people? He's like, no, no, it's just the repetition of the notes, of tying the knots and creating art in this form.
Which I call bullshit, by the way. Go sailing.
Right? There's plenty of knots on a sailboat,
Uh-huh.
but
So
you can't go
anyway,
sailing
continue.
in Denver, Colorado, apparently.
True.
Um, so and another thing comes up is that he admits that he would like to take pictures of her while doing this, and she's like, no, 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 no. So when this request comes through, she's like, oh, this is him for sure, this is him. And then they come back together, and she's like, I got this email for this job. This is what's going on in my business. This could be an option of revenue. If I do well with this and they like it, that means that other authors could seek me out to do these kind of covers. And he was like, okay, I'm down. And she's like, I don't know if I am.
Yep.
And he's like, well, okay, I think you should be the model. And she's like, I don't know about that. He's like, no, 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 we can make it a pleasurable experience. It
This
doesn't
is where I
have,
did.
and I'm just like, okay, okay, whatever. Like, this is slight coercion, I would think.
Yes.
Um,
The red flags are waving.
yeah.
I don't, yeah.
So
Yes.
they get through it. The author loves it. Says that after she publishes it, the book becomes like a talking piece because of the cover. Now she wants to do more. I think that's
Mm.
actually in the second book.
Okay.
Because I
So
read
where does
both
this
of
book
them.
end, really?
So, this book ends because she actually gets contacted by this really big Japanese food group. They
Oh,
are
okay.
they are looking for uh, a graphic designer for a new line of frozen healthy foods that they're trying to launch in the U.S. They primarily work in Japan, but they really want to branch out. They already have an office in Seattle. They're trying to
Mhm.
revamp this new line, try to garner more sales with a new look. And
Mhm.
they're pitching towards a couple of different graphic designers, uh, and they're trying to see what they can find. And it is a very big opportunity for her. But the stipulations in even opening herself up to the bid for this job is she can't talk about it. She has to sign an NDA. Um,
Yeah.
you know, she can present some work, but she can't tell anybody she's in the running for this job. So
Hmm.
she, for some reason, hasn't connected the dots that this Japanese food group has just pulled her name out of thin air
Right.
weeks after talking to her boyfriend about her
Hmm.
business not being able to sustain itself. And she starts working on their project. Um, they've done the gala, all that kind of stuff. Couple of like a month or so later, she gets a call that one of the that they liked her work and they'd really want to
Okay.
discuss it with her in person. Um, and they need her to meet one of their VPs who happens to be in the Denver area.
Huh.
She goes to this swanky hotel. She has learned a little bit about Japanese culture, so she decides to bring a gift
Hmm.
um, to and her portfolio. And she walks into this penthouse, and this woman introduces herself. Who she's wearing big like fashion sunglasses inside the hotel room, and
Okay.
like trying to hide her face and stuff like that. Oh,
Oh,
this is
interesting.
because Ronan has blue eyes.
Okay. I totally missed that detail.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's
Again,
Japanese
I did not
man with
care.
blue eyes. Um
Yes.
Black hair, blue
That's
eyes, very
that's
Japanese
that's the
looking.
Caucasian that you see. It's
Yep.
just his
It's
eyes.
just his eyes. So she's asking questions of this VP. The VP's like, well, I'm wearing glasses because I'm on a different schedule and I'm kind of tired and a little hungover from the flight and all this kind of stuff. And finally, she's just like, "Who are you really?"
Hmm.
Thinking it's his ex.
That's what I would think first too,
Yes.
if I were her.
And the
But it's
woman
got to be her
takes off the
sister. Her sister.
sunglasses and she's got blue eyes and she's like, "Oh
Yeah.
shit, you're Ronan's sister."
Yeah.
Um and she was like, "Yes." And she was like, "He put me up for this, didn't he?" And they were like, the sister's like, "Well, he gave us your name. You have won this contract yourself."
Okay. I mean, yeah, but still, it's still a connection.
Right.
Yeah.
So she leaves in a huff
Of
because
course.
Ronan never told her that his family owns this conglomerate
Hmm.
and that he is the heir to this conglomerate.
Of course.
Fucking tedious and pedantic at this point.
Yeah, I'm so glad I
Ugh.
stopped reading because that is not the direction in which I thought the book would go.
So she goes storming back to the dojo. He is in the middle of class. There is a no spectator rule even for the boss's girlfriend. So
Mhm.
she's standing there in the middle of his his highest class. I think they're like brown belts or something like that. Um,
Okay, yeah, it's pretty high. It's pretty high.
and he's like, "Go upstairs. I'll be there as soon as class done." She's like, "Or you could talk to me about why your sister is in Denver giving me a job." And he looks at the class. He's like, "Get out. Everybody get out." He's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. Um, I don't know why my sister's here." And she's like, "You set me up.
You're lying.
You're lying to me. You've been lying to me this entire time. You're this billionaire and
Mhm.
you're just hiding out in fucking Denver, Colorado. I don't know anything about you." Like, why?
Sounds about right.
She's like, "I am trying to earn my business on my own. I do not need my boyfriend to just give me a pity contract." He's like,
Handouts. She doesn't want handouts.
"Right.
Yeah.
I respect that."
I do too. Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but at the same time, like, he'd already offered to give her money from the dojo, like lend
But
her
this is
money.
like still he's all about control, right? He even
Yes.
says explicitly earlier in the book that he has a problem with it. And this is another thing that he is doing
Yeah.
because he wants to help her, but he's not taking no for an answer.
Right.
It's another form of control,
Yes. And
which
she
is like
brings
you
that
can
up.
be altruistic in that, but that's the intention, but it definitely has a dark undertone.
Yeah.
You know what I
And
mean?
she does bring it up. She brings it up that, he cannot just let things happen naturally. He's got to be in there and just tweak everything to his benefit. Um,
Yeah.
and she ultimately tells him that he needs to fuck off and not talk to her for a very long time because she doesn't want anything to do with him at this point.
Yeah.
Um, so she leaves. He thinks
Good for
that
her.
he thinks that she'll be back, like she's just throwing a tantrum, and she doesn't. So he's standing there for like a good 10-15 minutes. Finally, he storms down the hallway to his conference room and throws a chair through a window. And
Oh,
that's how
that's
it ends.
mature.
That's how it ends.
And and I'm and I still don't like either of them. I like her a little bit more at
Yeah.
this point, but I really didn't like him.
No. Like he
uh
does open up a little bit about the ex after
yeah.
this.
So
Um
the X is not in this at all.
Not in the
I
first
thought that
one,
the
no.
X I thought the X would show up in this one, so I'm
No.
honestly surprised.
X shows up in the second one though.
Yeah, of course.
Yep. The ex was a plant by his grandfather. It was an arranged marriage type thing. Uh, Her
What?
family is owner of a very predominant bank in Japan, and the grandfather was trying to marry the two companies, basically.
Okay.
Um, and
So
that
I have a
relationship
question then.
lasted for 2 years, and he
Yes.
realized she was fucking around on him at
Okay.
the kink club that they were members of.
That's my question.
Okay.
Is his family privy to his tendencies?
Yes, kind
And they're
of.
like, okay, they must have, especially the grandfather, if he handpicked this person who is also in the lifestyle,
So it
very
comes
much
out in the
so.
second book that grandfather did not know about her proclivities, but
Okay.
his sister, his mother, and his grandfather are aware that he does shibari because it's tied into jiu-jitsu. And he is
Okay.
known as a master shibari. He's a shibari master in
Yeah.
Japan as well as in the US. He teaches
So he
classes at the club, but he does
he became
not.
famous for that, so
Yes.
they found
Yes.
out
I
somehow.
mean,
Okay.
he's a master jujitsu sensei. He's
Yeah.
a master shibari artist. Like, that is
So
known. And apparently, shibari doesn't always end in sex. That's the other one that starts with the K.
yeah,
So
I've heard that before. Yeah.
he
It's
is
more of like a yoga kind of practice, like a
right.
meditation
Right.
thing.
It's a like shibari is the art.
Yeah.
The other one is the kinky shit.
Yeah.
And they get confused because Westerners like us are stupid. Um,
Yes.
uh, so yes, they know about that. His sister actually introduced her to her brother, the
Okay.
ex to the brother,
Okay.
at a Japanese social club. They didn't actually meet in a kink club. He brought her
Okay.
in because he only did shibari, not the kinky one. She would, after their sessions of, because she was his rope model, she'd go and
Hmm.
fuck around in the club. She was more into the BDSM scene, and he was
Just that.
just that. So he
Okay,
broke it
that makes a
off
lot of
after
sense.
2 years.
Yeah.
She was hanging around for the money.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why he didn't tell. That's his justification for not telling her
Right away.
right about any of this. Grandfather
Huh.
is manipulative and fucking with his life. He has denounced his birthright in this company. He is not
Yeah.
technically the heir because he's given
Mhm.
it up. That's why his name is not the same.
So the sister is the heir now, or are they like more traditional? It has to be a male heir.
So the sister was working towards that, and
Okay.
then realized that at like 32 or whatever, that she had no life outside of the office, and she wanted, all of her friends were married and with children. She was
Okay.
just drinking on a plane to soothe herself, kind of thing, and that's not the life she wanted. So ultimately, towards the end of the second book, you find out the sister has quit
Hmm.
so that she too could find a life. She is also a jujitsu master. but like two
Excellent.
degrees below him.
Okay.
Um, so she stays in Denver for quite a while. His mother
Okay.
eventually takes over the company from grandfather because grandfather is like 87 years old and wants to retire. And his mother's like, I've had the love of my life. I had my children. I've been taking care of the social aspect of this company my entire life. I might as well just run the damn thing. You guys
Hmm.
live your lives how you want. And then
Alrighty.
Ronan and what's her nuts get married. That's the second book.
And then there's more?
Yeah, apparently the next one is his sister and one of his instructors.
Okay, so they continue
Yes, it's the
with that.
dojo is the train, not
I see
necessarily.
the
Um
characters.
yeah. And then
Okay.
the one after that is the co-worker slash intern and one of the trainers.
I had a feeling that that's the route that they would go eventually because they built up the coworkers, the brown belt ones, as also in the lifestyle, but into other things and like how attractive they are and everything. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, there's going to be a book about them.
Well, I mean, the coworker, the whole reason the coworker was going to these self-defense classes is because she had been assaulted.
Yeah.
Um, and then she started dating one of the instructor of the self defense class, and then she
Mhm.
cheated on him.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
it's a different instructor that she eventually hooks up with, according to the synopsis and the rest of
Awesome.
the books. I'm not reading the other ones. I read those two. It was enough of a headache. I had to get through them though because I had already DNF'd two books before this one.
Mhm.
I didn't want to make it a quartet of DNFs.
Now, is there enough content in the second book to warrant another novel? Like, could this have been one complete story in one book? Because I know
I
this.
think so. The second book has a
Okay.
lot of filler. They spend after she leaves, they spend 7 weeks apart. Um,
Wow. Oh,
yeah.
wow. That's a lot. Okay. All right. That's a
And
good break.
he starts underground fighting again and gets really fucked up. That's like the first chapter of
Mm.
the second book is it's 7 weeks, 6 weeks later.
He
Shows up
starts
to
his own
his
fight club because he got rejected
he
by a
already
girl.
he already had his own fight club. Like
That's
he had
true.
already been doing underground shit. Um but now he's actually fighting in them. He used to just step in on occasion if he needed a fighter. Um
Okay.
but usually he was just reffing and promoting it. You know, it was just another way to like get people into his dojo or something. There's no real reason why he does these underground fights. Um
Blowing off more steam?
yeah, I was like, I don't understand. Like, there's not a good reason. But he's got like a
He's got a
concussion
lot of energy.
and broken ribs, and somehow he rides his motorcycle to to her apartment, and like it's raining and shit and he's banging on her door. She opens it up, and he's just like bloody, and he collapses right in
Cool.
her door. So she stays with him in the hospital, and then takes him home and takes care of him, and
Isn't there a trope for that?
yeah, Nightingale syndrome. Yeah. So yes, it could have been one book, especially with all of the time jumps, because
Right.
like they're together for a good 6 months by the time I think it's 6 months by the time that they get they break up by the end of the first book. So
I just don't, I don't know. I feel, and I didn't read the rest of the book. I almost did. There was like, I think I was two-thirds of the way through,
mhm.
and I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't do it anymore.
No, I
I'm
get
glad
it.
I didn't finish, but I
Yeah.
felt like I don't know. Maybe it's because I wasn't invested. I feel like the story could have been better.
Oh yeah. No, no, no. It could have been better. Like it I don't know what keywords you looked for this one. I will say that everything is very light. It's very smutty.
Yes.
Oh my god, it's
The
so much
plot
fucking
is
smut.
very thin.
It's very, very thin. Um it doesn't get it moves into hardcore bondage about halfway. I think I texted you that. Like, okay, as soon as you get to the gala, after the gala, then we'll get into the stuff that we're actually looking for.
Yeah.
Um,
But that wasn't well done.
it wasn't. It's
It
no.
wasn't
This
done.
is almost as big of a blunder as 50 Shades.
I didn't read 50 Shades, so I don't know. I'll only know based off of word of mouth how bad of a representation of BDSM and the culture and everything, um, and how bad Christian Grey was at introduction. I feel like it's the same exact problem.
Yeah.
Uh, Horribly botched introduction.
Yeah.
At least in the other one, there's a contract and it's informed consent.
Yeah.
Um, though that was from the movie. I don't know if that happened in the book.
There
So
is a contract in the book, but I think they've already fucked around before
yeah,
that.
but vanilla, right?
There's
No, no,
there's flavorings. It's vanilla, but there's flavorings.
little
Um,
sprinkle.
yeah. I mean, this like you can tell right from the bat what kind of person he is. Like they he says multiple times, not just in the first book, but in the second one, that he is not, especially in the second book, that he is not a dom. He's not. He does not
Yeah,
partake in the BDS lifestyle, but the way he is portrayed very much is
yeah, I know, and
like
I think that's the issue. That's the
hardcore.
crux of my issue with this book is that they just didn't. I don't know if the author. I don't know anything about the author, so
Mm,
my apologies. I don't know if they had firsthand experience
I would say
with
not.
the lifestyle
I would say not, just based on this.
because, yeah, and that's what I was getting to. And maybe that's what was frustrating me so much
Mm,
because I had this expectation and expectations were not met.
yeah.
In fact, they went wildly in the other direction. So,
Yeah. Um, I mean,
no consent until later, when she has to figure things out for herself, by the way. He
right.
didn't, try to ease her into anything.
Well,
Um,
his idea of
and
easing was, oh well, let's just do these couple of things while we're
doing
banging.
regular sex, but also, but a lot of, I don't know.
It wasn't
It
done
goes
well.
zero. It was 0 to 100.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It was
No,
zero
it
to
was. It
100.
was. So to wrap this up, what would you rate this other than DNF? What you
I
did
don't
read, what,
know.
on a scale of 1 to 5? We'll make it real easy.
1.5.
Yeah. I did read both of them, but that's just because like I said, I had already DNF'd 2 books before. Um,
Mm,
and I wanted to see how they were going to unfuck this.
yeah.
They did not unfuck this. Um, but it did take me quite a while to get through these. Like, I think the week that I read these, it took me quite a while
It
because
did.
I had to
You,
take some breaks because I was just like, this is so bad.
I know.
So
So
bad.
bad.
And I've read some really shitty things.
I know. I know you have.
Oh
You've
my
told me.
gosh.
I feel like the ones I've chosen have been real doozies. I don't know. I feel like there should be a spreadsheet or like a list of ones that are actually good, or I don't know, because it's like it can be subjective, right?
Well, if we get enough people to subscribe, watch our videos, that we need a Discord server, maybe we'll start a spreadsheet. We'll just start
I'm
like,
down.
okay, here's the book. Here's where we rate it. This is what we thought. and then we can go back and reference it and not have to watch an entire hour-long video.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was your pick for June.
Yes.
My pick is being moved to August, so we're upsetting the apple cart a little bit, which means you get to pick again for July. Why don't you tell us what you picked for July?
I picked this book. It's called Broken Bonds by Jay Bree. It's another book that was recommended a lot on TikTok back in the day. I've seen it all over Bookstagram or whatever you call it. It was also recommended to me on Amazon based off of previous stuff I've read. And from the synopsis, I'm like, okay, this actually does seem interesting. Here is what it looks like. It's a very gorgeous cover. And yeah, I'm hoping that it is better than this one.
So I have read this. I just
Okay.
saw it on my insights when we were talking about what my book count is. I read the first one in 2021.
That was a while ago.
Yes.
Okay.
So I do have, I think I have the whole series at this point. I'm looking for it. Yes. So the first
Have
one,
you read the entire series?
let's see. There's book 1, book 2. So between book 1 and book 2, there were 3 other books that I read. Let's see. I think I was actually reading these as they were coming out because there's quite a distance. So I think the only one I haven't read at this point is book 6. Yep, there's book 3 at the end of 21. Oh, damn it. Oh. My phone keeps resetting.
Are we still waiting for book 6 or
no?
Did it come
Book
out last
6,
year?
I believe, came out this year. So there is a complete series. So July will be Broken Bonds. We have it here on the board. Still don't know if this is showing correctly on the YouTube. I'll have to look at that tomorrow, actually. And maybe this becomes our next series. We do have a series coming up, but after that one, maybe this one becomes our next series. If not, we have another series that we're tossing around that might be enjoyable. Some dark academia type stuff. We tend to shy away from academia, but this one is actually very good.
Okay.
I read this one also in 2021. Could not put this series down.
Yay!
Yeah. So, thank you guys very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Bestie, I have a new, hold on, I'm pulling it up. So, I just started it. It looks absolutely awesome. It is a monster read.
Okay.
I think I'm only on the first page. I'm liking it already. The synopsis is great. And it's called